How's it going, guys? My name is Doe. Hope you're doing good. In this video, I'll be covering the Torgadoro armor, weapons, and stuff of that nature. So basically the gear of Torgadoro, or Torgorn, Torgnado, I don't know what you're going to call it. The monkey. I'm covering the gear of the monkey. That's what's going on. And just like in my Malkarion video covering its gear, in this one, I'll be going over the armor first because it's easier that way. So, if you look at the armor, it's got like a really rocky aesthetic, and the inner mesh, I guess, or the inner layer is just a different kind of shade. Kind of cool. It's like aesthetically, it's pretty neat. But going into the stats and the cell slots on the weapon, you'll have a utility slot on the helmet, and then power slots on everything else. So the chest, the gloves, and the feet. Now, the helmet is kind of cool because it has a new cell. This is something called Zeal. And this gives you up to 65% increased lantern tap effectiveness. That is interesting. I don't know exactly how crazy it's going to be, but like from the looks of it, it's a nice little bonus, and it's also a utility slot by the buy. So if I go to it, it's going to be right here, boom, utility. And the benefits of this are, let's say your team is rocking Conduit +6, you got one person rocking Conduit +6, and someone else is using Engineer. So they both have two team, let's go with like a team play utility cells active. You don't need to bring Conduit if someone else has it. You don't need to bring Engineer if someone else has it. You can instead bring Zeal or Etheric Attunement, but I feel like Zeal might have some instances where it could be kind of useful. So that is sort of where this is going to be useful, right? It's like that really niche thing. If you're playing solo, I don't know if it's that crazy, but it's a nice little thing. It might make for some fun lantern builds, possibly, but we'll see. If this was if this increased the damage of your hold to cast, bruh, that would actually make for some really sick mage builds. Mage builds meaning like lantern builds. Anywho, moving forward, your chest piece has a Knockout King cell. Same goes for your feet. And this, like, okay, so on the surface, this might not seem crazy, this might not seem amazing, but it is actually not bad. This is a good thing because in the Blaze Escalation, there are some amplifiers that you want to have stagger damage to make more use out of, namely Lady Luck's Barrage. This is a modifier that makes it so the more stagger damage dealing stagger damage builds up a reserve of cannonballs. After, a minute passes, all these cannonballs get unleashed. Each cannonball does around 500 damage. You can stack a lot of cannonballs. It's actually really cool. This is the this is sort of like the violent impact of Blaze Escalation. That's the whole idea. So stagger damage, it's kind of neat. It's kind of a nice thing, which is, I'm sensing a pretty cool thing, because in the previous escalation, they made crit chance good, right? In the shock escalation, crit chance is pretty good. In Blaze Escalation, stagger damage is pretty good. So they're making things that normally aren't meta, I wouldn't say meta in this case, but interesting and fun. Like that's actually a really, really nice development pattern that I'm sensing from Escalation. It's pretty cool. But yeah, chest and feet both have a power slot, and they both have KOK. So yeah, it's going on. Now the gloves. This is the last thing. This is the last piece of the armor I'll discuss, because it's all there is to discuss with the armor. But the gloves have Overpower as a stat. And honestly, this is going to be pretty good for some builds. Although in the escalation, this is like if you look at the armor, this is obviously like the best thing to make if you're not going to be spamming escalation. But if you plan to do escalation, if you plan to play things like hammer, strikers, even sword, then I would definitely consider making either the feet or the chest piece, like sort of like save up your stuff, because eventually I suggest making all the armor, but let's say you want to pick and choose what pieces to make. Personally, I would make the feet first, even though the gloves are really good. It's just that we have a bunch of different choices for gloves, whereas for feet slot, not that many choices. And yeah, that's the armor though. I think it's pretty cool. And before I go any further, I want to keep some of y'all watching because there's some cool stuff going on with Escalation, including... I'll just do this, whatever. I'll waste some precious time doing this real quickly. But this is the Ultra Armour that you get for getting to Escalation level 25 in Blaze Escalation. And this stuff looks freaking insane. Like, it's so crazy. The helmet, even though it's not the most insane thing in the world, it's still pretty cool. But the chest piece, the legs, brother, this is a banger. This is a banger and a half. I tell you what, it's wild, man. Like, this is what I want to see, and I'm super stoked that the Ultra Armor is pretty much on par with last season or last Escalation's Ultra Armor. That's awesome. Like, these are insanely freaking cool. Like, I'm happy that they look so good, because it's completely free to earn. This costs you no money to earn. It's completely free, and it looks super good. That's huge. That's always going to be a huge plus from me. So that's dope. Anyway, that is like I said, that's unlocked from going to your lantern thingamabobber, your lantern attunement device, which I'll be there momentarily. Takes a minute. I got really thick legs, apparently. Yeah, you go here and you click on Blaze Escalation. Once you're at 25, you can do it. I have it unlocked because I'm on a creator realm. I can do things that are very magical, as you would say. But yeah, this is all 25 reward. And also, real quickly, when you're unlocking things, make sure you claim them, because they don't actually activate, or you don't really get the benefit from these little bonuses until you click claim. So do that when you can, because you'll be wasting time if you don't, especially on like these power boosts. These are really helpful, like really helpful. Anywho, back to the gear. So that was the armor. Now let's go ahead and talk about the weapons. So the weapons are interesting. It's sort of going to be the same thing like Malkarion, not in the sense of like how it works, but in sort of the viability, right? So the weapon itself is best in slot for fire weapons because it's got prismatic slots and you can pick whatever bond you want. So this is, let's say, a Torg weapon, but it has prismatic slots. That's mainly what a legendary weapon does. You also have a unique effect, or a legendary ability, but the legendary abilities aren't supposed to be crazy. In this case, it's really cool and really flashy, but the main use of it is to just, you know, it's for flashiness. That's all it really is. Like, it's not going to be like, oh, pop this, do a ton of damage, call it a day. That's not the case. It's there for fun, honestly. Like, the main usefulness of legendary weapons is always going to be, at least right now, going to be the ability to have prismatic slots on pretty much any weapon of that type. So all these weapons have prismatic slots, and the only thing that carries over from this weapon is going to be the stat and then the unique effect. So boom, Hellion weapon, I've got overpower on the weapon itself right now because of what it is, but I also have the effect, so that's what carries over, right? Now, to go into more detail on the ability, the legendary ability of this weapon is where you enter a rage, gaining new attacks for 15 seconds, and you deal 25% damage when the target is below 50% health. Usable once, but resets on behemoth kill. So the whole usable once, resets on behemoth kill works exactly like Malkarion. That's nothing new, but this effect is pretty cool. And like when you activate it, you basically get some wild looking Aether Strikers. That's what you get, but they have a leap, like dodge attack thing, like leap dodge, which I'm not sure if it has an iframe. I think it does, but it's really strange to use if it does have an iframe. It's pretty interesting. But you get a left click, which is a heavy attack on a regular striker, or a light attack, which is a heavy attack on strikers normally. And if you use your heavy attack on this weapon, it's a giant slam. Both of these things can boot behemoths. That's a really huge takeaway, because this means that weapons like, I don't know, repeaters can boop now without having to bring grenades, without having to bring other things. Now you can only boop once a behemoth kill. That's not crazy, but it's a nice little thing, right? And plus it's a fire barrel. Fire barrel is not a bad choice to do, right? Boom, fire barrel. That's nice. And the thing with repeaters though, like the downside for repeaters is you don't get prismatic slots. I don't know why, but you don't. So don't expect that to happen. Be clear. Let's be clear here, all right? You don't get prismatic slots on repeaters. That's just the way it is. But the whole thing is cool. It's a neat little thing, and to me, all the legendary ability serves is just a neat thing to do, right? It spices up having the legendary weapon. Because like I said, I think the main draw of having a legendary weapon is the fact that you have prismatic slots. That's the main thing. And having a legendary ability is just icing on the cake. It adds some more variety and spice to the game, and it can just make more things interesting. In Repeater's case, though, it is actually pretty cool. It's a really cool thing. And using the heavy attack to interrupt feels really good. It's sort of like whenever Strikers first came out and you interrupt stuff with like the Titan's Crash. It's the same feeling. Like just slamming down like before, like in front of a behemoth and interrupting it feels pretty good. It's a feels good like all around. But those are the weapons, and I don't think I have all the weapons made, so I can't really show you guys because I didn't really plan ahead like I shoulda. Actually, you know what? I can show you. You're the armor smith. My bad, women. I can show you what they look like. And also, I should probably go into how they're crafted, but I feel like that's not really a big deal. It's going to be the same sort of crafting spiel as Malkarion stuff. But I do want to show you guys what they look like. So, we've seen the sword. This is the axe. It's got like an interesting little back to it, but the blade itself looks really sick. The hammer looks like an axe. That's neat. That's pretty interesting. Warpike looks... This one reminds me of like some kind of sea urchin. Or no, never mind. That's the Strikers. The Strikers look like something out of the ocean. Real talk on that one. But this is like this is the general crafting scheme that's going to happen. To craft it once, we'll go ahead and craft Strikers. Which, by the way, I am on a test realm. These mats are random. I could grant myself a lot. But, so let's go ahead and craft these. It's going to take these pieces to upgrade, which the names don't really matter. What matters is where it's from. So, common drop from any limbs of Torgadoro, break the limbs. Common drop from the gauntlets of Torgadoro, break his gauntlets. Pretty straightforward. Blaze orbs, blaze patrols, or once you get like once you get to talent point 8, you can get blaze orbs from doing patrols, which is nice, like doing any patrols. Molten Morsel, rare drop from slaying Torgadoro. Rampaging shard, this is like most shards, they drop from slaying Torgadoro. When you craft it, this is unlike other weapons. When you first craft it, it starts off at level 10, and it's gonna take mats to craft every single level. Most weapons that go from level 10 to level 15 only take Peerless. This takes more than that because it is a legendary weapon. So just, you know, just want to make that clear. I think last time I didn't go over that, so I wanted to cover that in this and sort of make that more clear. But yeah, this won't take that long to grind if you're being efficient. If you're new, it could take a while. But once you get Torgadoro sort of mastered, it won't be that bad to grind. And don't be discouraged by seeing like, oh, it takes 1,500 of this item to get, because you get roughly like 150 per run. So it's gonna take a number of runs, but it's not impossible by any means. So as a little interesting thing there, this has been the video. And by the way, guys, if you want to see some tips on how to kill Torgadoro, I should have a video made for that. I'm not going to promise it because I might not make it because I'm being a lazy bum right now. But that should be made, and there should also be like a solo Torgadoro video just for fun, just for funsies. But yo, that's been the video, guys. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully it helped you. If you did like it, if it did help you, make sure to leave a like on the video. Maybe comment because it helps out the algorithm, I think. And perhaps subscribe to see more Dauntless content like this and other content in the future. But yeah, other than that, I will say if you guys want to support the channel for free, well, at no extra cost to you, I'll say that, at no extra cost to you, use my Epic Games support code in the Epic Games store or in the in-game Dauntless store. Either way, it helps me out a ton. It's just OhDough, it's my name, and using that supports me without costing you anything extra than what you're already paying for. And yeah, it helps me out a ton. If you don't want to use my code, use somebody's code. Important. It's just it's a free way to help someone out. Well, it's a no extra charge to yourself to help someone out. But anyway, guys, that's the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.